So, as I've stated in previous podcasts, this planet is literally littered with pyramids all over the place. And today I want to talk about the pyramid off of the coast of Portugal and how the Navy are investigating a very large one, a square pyramid. The Portuguese news reported that the discovery of a very large underwater pyramid first discovered by Diocleciano Silva between the islands of São Miguel and Terceira in the Azores of Portugal. According to claims, the structure is said to be perfectly squared and oriented by the cardinal points. Now that's very interesting because that is what they all have in common. And why that's important is because these cardinal points are directly related to astrology and astronomy, which was created by the placement of the moon when we seeded this planet. The current estimates obtained using the GPS digital technology put the height at 60 meters and the base of 8,000 square meters. The Portuguese Hydrographic Institute of the Navy currently has the job of analyzing the data to determine whether or not the structure is man-made. The pyramid is perfectly shaped and apparently oriented by its cardinal points, like we already said, according to Silva, who told Diário Insular at the local newspaper. The pyramid was found in an area of the mid-Atlantic that has been underwater for about 20,000 years. Considering this is around the time of the last ice age, I believe that'd be the Pleistocene age, where glaciation was melting from its peak 2,000 years prior to whatever civilization, human or not, but we all know it was, that was around before the ice age, could be responsible for building the pyramid. In other words, since this pyramid is not related to the politics of Giza and the Egyptian pyramids, who want to tie the building of those pyramids specifically to the Egyptian civilization, therefore they will never give us the true date of creation for those pyramids. Here, since these pyramids were found offshore and they're benign to any claim of any political entity that's trying to gain favor from them, they can be accurately dated. And so they were able to determine that these are well over 20,000 years old. And considering this is, like I said, the time of the last ice age, it puts a lot in motion and makes you want to think. And I've had pictures made, I made them, about the pyramids in Giza actually being underwater. And maybe the current people have it all wrong, and maybe the water is going the other way. And maybe these things were built because they're easier to build underwater by a race that or entities that we are not privy to now. And we'll get to that in a different episode. But let's say they were built on topsoil, and over time they have become inundated. And this makes sense because we have places like Doggerland, Sicily, and a lot of other areas that are obviously were made when the lands were dry, and now they've been inundated. So that would verify that claim that over time water is rising. Now this is very important because what this proves is that the water's been rising for well over 20,000 years, as the carbon dating on this pyramid dictates. So how can that be man-made? It cannot. I'm tired of that illusion. I'm tired of that BS-ery. And I'm tired of them hiding all of the pyramids that, like I said, are scattered all over the planet. So the pyramid was found in an area of the mid-Atlantic. And considering this is around the time of the last ice age, let's see who did that. Certainly the NOAA, who studies volcanic activity in the area of the pyramid, would have discovered the pyramids through sonar imaging and so forth. And since the area is heavily studied due to volcanic activity, either the NOAA hasn't yet come across it, and NOAA being the National Organization for something, it's our climate thing, right? It's the one that studies all of our climate and the oceans. And obviously the oceans are responsible for our climate, and the moon is responsible for our oceans, and that's how we use the moon to seed the planet and terraform it. They are hiding what they have found, or the pyramid doesn't exist. We all know it does, and this isn't the only one. Stay tuned, because our next episode, podcast, whatever you want to call these little infant chunks, nuggets of info, our next one is going to be about the pyramids off the coast of Cuba. So the last theory does not seem to be likely, given the authenticity of the find. And to further support that this pyramid could have been built by different civilizations, archaeologists from the Portuguese Association of Archaeological Research have recently discovered evidence on Pico Island that suggests their belief that humans existed in the Azores region before the arrival of the Portuguese thousands of years ago. So, as of today, there is still no explanation of who created the rock art found on the islands, and was the pyramid built by whatever civilization existed prior to the Portuguese, obviously, because that's a label that came well after. And so this is obviously a man-made object. It's off the coast of Portugal, and there are more pyramids scattered all around this planet. We will be talking about each one by one, little by little, introducing everyone to the different pyramids that they may not know about, as the only ones they ever seem to hear about are the ones specifically in Giza or the ones in Mexico, because they're so predominantly displayed in areas of population. But there's so many pyramids that exist in areas that are in non-populated areas, and these pyramids are becoming exposed thanks to the use of Google Earth, and thanks to explorers who now have modern things that they can use, such as drones for scuba diving, that can go deeper and go places that we were unable to go before. So mankind is gaining facts quicker than we can assimilate them, and the powers that be don't want to tell people the truth, that all of these pyramids are sending signals to the moon, and it is self-correcting the moon. The moon is terraforming this planet. It's in charge of all of our climate. When it does a major realignment, that's when we have the floods that are talked about in every ancient civilization. So it's done on clockwork, and those that know, those that don't know. It's all tied to the grand procession, the 72,888 year procession, which is where we get all of our astrology from. Like I said, all of these things, astronomy, astrology, looking at the stars, all of that could only exist because of where the moon is. Had we not parked the moon there and not kept it there by constant communication with the pyramids to use the moon as a rudder for this planet Earth, and use this planet Earth as a vessel, as a ship, to guide it amongst the constellations, amongst the planets, to put it in a circular trajectory that takes the 72,888 years. So that's why all of these pyramids were needed, and that's why all of these pyramids are scattered across the planet. So the next episode, like I said, we'll be talking about the pyramids off the shore of Cuba, and I hope you guys come back and stay tuned for more, and definitely subscribe and like this video. Thanks for listening.
Can you hear me? Hold there. Wait, no.